Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast, the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions in the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, lifestyle, sports, music, everything really, depending on the guests we talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, is PD Beats. You'll recognize my guest from season 21 of Big Brother on CBS, which she also hosts her own podcast. We're with Dunn. Kat, welcome to Popternative.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. I mean, right off the bat, it's pretty cool. I mean, this is a podcast and a talk show. You have your own podcast. The podcast landscape is booming right now. Talk a little bit about your podcast.
It really is. Actually, it's funny, especially in the Big Brother world. There's like is the right word a stigma or I don't know. A lot of people always kind of dog people from Big Brother because they say like after they leave Big Brother, like they always get a podcast.
It's true.
Oh, it is. So I'm one of them. I never thought I was going to do a podcast. I was never really like in my plans for what I wanted to be when I grow up, I guess. But I started during quarantine, I started doing these Instagram lives every night of quarantine. At first, it was a lot, where I was interviewing with different Big Brother house guests over Instagram Live, and people loved it. Like every night, like people were saying how they were like setting their alarms for it. It was like keeping them going because during quarantine, everyone kind of got in a rut. But they were like, this is what really like brought excitement to my life. So I realized how how my audience was kind of hungry for this content. So I ended up switching it to a podcast, which is called the Conspire Away Bitches podcast, where I cover right now pretty much just Big Brother because that's my entire life this season. But once the Big Brother season ends, it's going to kind of transfer into more, reality TV, pop culture. Also, I love conspiracy theories, so a couple little conspiracy theories here and there. But it's been a lot of fun, and it's given me a fire in my belly.
Oh, absolutely. I've interviewed people that have been on Big Brother, that have also been on other kind of reality shows before, and I always ask this question, and I always get a different answer to this question. It's not like it's 50-50. It's not like a consensus. Before you were on Big Brother, did you know a lot about reality TV? Yes or no?
No. So I don't watch TV.
Yes. So, but I either get like no or yes. I don't get I dabbled a little bit. It's either they were really into reality TV or they had no idea. And I find that really interesting.
I guess you could say that I dabble because I knew what Big Brother was. Mm-hmm. Like I grew up with it kind of being a household name. And I have like a lot of like memories of like talking about Big Brother with my friends, or like they were talking about it with me, but I was kind of like, oh, I don't watch that show, but whatever. Yeah. So I definitely was familiar with the concept, but they actually recruited me over Instagram, which is a very controversial thing because a lot of people don't like recruits on the show, but I'm pretty open, and what you see is what you get with me, so I like to be pretty open about that just because I don't want to lead people astray. But I was recruited and I studied as much as I could before I went on the show. Yeah. After getting off, I definitely know a lot more, of course, now that I'm like hosting a podcast and I keep up with, Big Brother Twitter and Reddit and all that. But I'm a Martian when it comes to reality TV.
I find it interesting. Like, what do you think about when people say, like, they use the word, like, when they say reality star? What do you think about that as someone who's been on a reality show? I'm curious I want your opinion on this. Like, far away, like when people say like, oh, reality star Kat Dunn chats about this, like I just always was curious to ask someone who is referred to sometimes, like people that are on reality shows, oh, reality star for Big Brother, for Bachelor. Yeah. What do you think about that term?
Well, I guess also growing up, even though I didn't watch reality TV, I kind of did, being a millennial, we were kind of like the, we saw like the introduction of Survivor, of Big Brother, of The Real World. And then of course, like, what used to be the reality shows like Laguna Beach and all that. Oh, yeah. So I feel like reality TV celebrities and stars are like, that's always been kind of like a staple in pop culture. Mm-hmm. But I will say that I kind of like, sometimes I forget that I was on Big Brother. Like it sounds weird. Like I obviously don't forget because it was a big part of my life, but like, especially when we were under quarantine for, the past couple of months, and I was, in my house. I remember the first place that I went after Texas kind of lifted the guidelines. I went to the American Girl doll store with my niece for her birthday. And there was this other lady and her daughter there. And the lady like freaked out and was like, oh my gosh, can I get my picture with you? Like, and telling her daughter to like take a picture with me. And for a second I forgot. I was like, why do they want a picture with me? And then I remembered. I was like, oh yeah.
So
I was on a show.
That's an interesting segue to my next question, because you brought up that you got recognized at a store. That is very, so when people like get off these reality TV shows, one thing that happens is they get, because of the age of social media, a very big following on social media, on Instagram and everything. You know what I mean? Do you always remind yourself and think about the fact that you are now kind of under the microscope like other cast members, and that there's a responsibility that comes with that following?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, even for another example, with the whole quarantine thing, I live in Texas, and Texas is pretty much like we're 75% open. Like we're pretty much back to normal here, but I know a lot of the people that follow me are not back to normal, but at all. Like they're still under like phase 1 of quarantine, whatever. So I try to be really, I guess, aware that like while I personally can like go to the store, go to parties, go to the club, whatever, and post about it, because I can't, it's like I'm not breaking any rules or anything. I do try to be sensitive to the fact that not everyone that follows me has that same luxury. Yeah. So I do still try to lead by example by, quarantining at home and also, of course, like wearing my mask always when I'm out in public. Like if I'm snapping a story at the grocery store, like of course and I still wear a mask anyways, but but I make sure to always
absolutely
have if I'm in public. But and of course, like sometimes like I do go out to like a person's birthday party and I'll post about it, but I try to keep everything pretty much like being a good example for social distancing.
Because I just feel like that could be very overwhelming sometimes. Like you get off the show and then it's just kind of like insanity, because one, you have access to your phones more because you're not on the show anymore, and then two, it's just kind of the outcome of what happened on the show. Depending on what happened with your with yourself on the show, there's going to be either like popular thing about you in a certain cat. Like I just feel like it's like the calm before the storm, especially like a week after you do the show.
Yeah, it was really weird getting off the show because the Big Brother's a little bit different because like The Bachelor, they go and they film like the people that have filmed Claire's season, which is playing right now, they're already home. Like they're already, the show's already been aired. They're at home watching the show kind of unfold with everybody else.
For sure.
Big Brother, it's edited in real time. So the show's happening while you're in the house, blocked off from everything. And when you get out, it's like the I guess like audience response from the show is already, there. Like you've missed an entire 3 months of it even. So I remember walking through the CBS lot and people were like, Cat. And I was like, how do they know me? Like, what? This is weird. I thought they were punking me. But they weren't. Like, they were like, it was the weirdest feeling. But I also I grew up in beauty pageants, which in Texas is like a celebrity status kind of thing. And also in the professional dance world. So I was kind of used to fans asking for pictures, asking for autographs, following me on social media and whatnot. Yeah. But the Big Brother audience is at a whole nother level.
Oh, it's crazy. I find it interesting because you kind of responded to it with your podcast, like making like my question is about like content creation, like post like reality show, right? Like post Big Brother, right? And I always thought like, you guys get off the show, and I know a lot of you, some of you more than others, like keep in touch, like cast members keep in touch, become very good friends, you know what I mean? Have you ever thought about, especially with like the access to everything, the access to a good camera, the access to certain things. Like, I'm wondering why a lot of like reality, like you and someone else, right? Like you're doing your podcast, but like you can easily like come up with like an idea for like another type of reality show, and like 4 or 5 of you could just do it yourselves. You know what I mean? Like I just thought about that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, we do have access to our network is definitely more extensive did. And also, with my podcast, like if I had not been on Big Brother, I would not have this big of an audience that listens. So I'm really grateful for Big Brother for giving me that opportunity and the platform. But yeah, I mean, it definitely does open up the opportunity for a lot. Like Big Brother was like, oh, well, if you're smart about it, and I'm a marketer, so I always kind of think it's the big picture and how to segue everything into something else. So if someone's smart about it, then Big Brother's only the beginning for them. They can use it to springboard onto something else and something bigger.
Absolutely. Kind of some of the stuff that you maybe talk about on your podcast. What have you noticed, like trends, like you obviously talk about certain things on your podcast, but have you noticed any trends, whether it's like specifically reality TV or like pop culture in general? Like there's always trends of things that are kind of popular out of nowhere, like fads and everything. Like for example, like remember like even like before quarantine, like hot sauce was a big thing, like hot ones and like hot sauce. You know what I mean? Have you noticed any like pop culture trends or things that are really like popular lately?
Gosh. I mean, I think TikTok obviously is like the
that's the obvious one.
Yeah. They're like not only like the celebrities that are on, I say celebrities, but like the TikTok stars are like huge celebrities these days. But then also like the songs that you hear on TikTok, the like funny audio, like quotes that you hear. Like even this morning, someone like texted me a funny photo and I responded in a TikTok quote. Like, yeah. I mean, like it's everywhere. And that's something that's kind of once I get off of this whole Big Brother, mountain, I guess, which it ends next week, so then I'll have to segue into other stuff, but I do want to cover like kind of like the TikTok drama, TikTok news, because I, as a 30-year-old woman, like I'm interested in all the tea, so it's kind of fun.
No, absolutely. No, it's really exciting. Well, Kat, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. I really enjoyed chatting with you for a little bit.
It was so much
fun. Plug away. Where can people follow you on social media, and where can they check out the pod?
They can check out my podcast everywhere that podcasts are available. Yeah. It's called Conspire Away Bitches with Kat Dunn. Also, you can follow my podcast on Instagram at Conspire Away Podcast. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is Kat Dunn, and that's KATDUNN.
Amazing. Yeah, I feel like I do that too. Like I'm also, obviously I push my YouTube a lot because it's video, but like it's available for a podcast, audio only as well, and it's so easy. Like wherever you listen to podcasts, like it's there.
Yeah, you can. If you want to find it, you'll find it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, seriously, thank you so much. Congrats with your podcast. We look forward to listening more of it.
Thank you so much.
No problem. This has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Kat Dunn and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.